This is Marianne Marlowe from This Love Works, and I want to address a question that I recently got about resentment. And I think it's really important to remember that resentment can really damage a relationship because resentment is just another word for anger. And anger is a cover emotion, right, that covers over what is underlying the expression of resentment, which is meant to keep us separated from our loved ones. So any expression of anger, right, think about it in terms of big anger, right, when people kind of stomp around or slam doors, or maybe they give somebody the silent treatment, which is, going underground, pretending that there's not anything wrong and maybe not sharing what's real or true. But the problem with that is that the real issue is not being addressed in a way that the couple can get on both sides of. And remember, that's the goal for us as members of a relationship, is that when we are experiencing some negative emotion, especially when that negative emotion is projected onto our partner, we've got to be able to figure out a way to express it well enough so that our partner knows what's going on and can help us or be on the same side of the issue with us. So when we have unexpressed anger, or when the anger is expressed as resentment, right, something that festers and stays on board, stays with us, then we're not allowing our partner to help us with it. We're not sharing what it is that's bothering us. Sometimes what happens with couples is that they get into a pattern or an argument cycle where they don't really talk about what the issue is. They start to talk on the surface, or maybe they'll address some content about what the issue is, but they don't ever really get to the actual issue. And I think what's really important for us to remember is that as a couple, we function as a unit, and that's the most effective way for us to deal with problems, resolve issues, and support each other in the most effective way. And so what's very, very important when we have resentment is to allow our partners to really hear what it is that's true for us. So we've got to be able to talk about what our emotions are. We can also talk about the experience that we're having on the inside. Sometimes I can tell my partner that I've got tension or tightness. I can share with my husband, this is really so upsetting that I can feel my heart beating faster. And that gives him an understanding of what my internal experience is all about. And then I can share what the emotion really is. And, sometimes we just get pissed at our partners, and we can, let them know, hey, I'm really feeling pissed about this right now, or I'm really even feeling pissed about what you did. And then we get down to what's true for us. So what is underneath the anger? What is it? Well, maybe I'm feeling sad that you said something to me that didn't really consider my feelings. Or maybe I'm hurt that we didn't talk about this earlier, and now I have to deal with it in a way that I wasn't really prepared for. But we've got to be able to talk about the emotion that is underneath the anger or the resentment. And remember that resentment is anger that is held onto. It's unresolved. And most often when we hold that anger inside of us, we create a story about what is going on with our partner. And that narrative can then build up over time. It can build up over time in such a way that my narrative about my partner now influences how I see my partner or how I see our relationship, which can then create a lot of problems, certainly internally, but then also what I'm projecting into the relationship. So now a narrative about your motivations about what has happened. And the narrative, I think that it's really important to recognize that sometimes we know our partners well enough that that narrative is true. Maybe my person really did forget to do something that was important to me. My husband, has ADD. And so frequently he might forget something. And we've gotten to a place in our relationship where we can talk about that pretty openly. But when it first started to happen, it would really destabilize me. I took it personally. I didn't understand it. And so now when something is really important for me to have him remember, I will ask him, out your phone and put this in your phone right now. And that helps to short circuit the problems that we have had in the past where I get resentful. I would make it about him and I would take it very personally. And that was very, very destructive in our relationship. The problem with resentment and holding that inside is that when it influences our relationship, we then begin to behave as if, meaning we begin to behave as if the narrative is true, which then cuts us off from really being on the same side of an issue with our partner. And it's perfectly legitimate to feel angry and even really angry with our partners. But it's our responsibility to be able to work our way through it in such a way that we can share it and share it in a way that will help us to build a bridge. And that ultimately, when we can get underneath and understand what's really bothering us, when we can really share that with our partner, then we're in a position to really resolve the problem and get underneath it so that our love can work. This is Mary Ann Marlowe from This Love Works. See you soon.